Everyone, I know it's getting a little bit bored, but I hope you will love it and the process of the story. So let's start it. Hey, Jungkook's your wifey is here, Namjoon said, making his hand pointing towards the certain direction. Jungkook is surprised hearing that, immediately turned to the direction. He can clearly identify that his baby is there. Jungkook frowned, looking at his baby. He knows Taehyung tolerance towards drinks is not good. Now he can clearly look that Taehyung already crossed his limit of drinking capacity. Jungkook stood from his position and said, "Guys, I have to leave now." Namjoon and Yoongi nodded to him. Then officer said, "Jungkook, use protection and be gentle on your wifey." Jungkook heard that and showed finger to the officer friend. Then he walked towards Taehyung. Jungkook reached Taehyung's table and saw Taehyung is already drunk dead. He saw Taehyung's other friend Jimin, Hobie and Jin, and Hobie is already also drunk dead like Taehyung. Jimin felt someone is staring at him, so he looked above and saw Jungkook. "Oh, Cookie, thank God you are here," Jimin said, looking at their drunk dead friends. Jungkook sat beside Taehyung, where chair is empty. "Jimin, do you guys came here often?" Jungkook asked question, but looks like a statement. Jimin shook his head and said, "Usually me, Jimin and Hobi came here, but today Taehyung said he also want to join us." "I think his mood was not good today." Jungkook just hummed because he know whatever happened at the home, it caused Taehyung's mood off. "You can take your baby and I will take these two Babo Hyungs," Jimin said, pointing at Taehyung and Jin Hobie Hyung. "Okay, then I will leaving now," Jungkook said and stand up to pick Taehyung. When Jungkook tried to pick up his baby, Taehyung slowly opened his eyes due to the touch on his body. He immediately sat straight and asked, Who are you?" Taehyung is stuttering. He is not able to make a sentence. Jungkook knows Taehyung is not recognizing him, but still he tried. "I am your young baby, let's go home." Taehyung looked above and made grabby hands like a baby. Jungkook thought, "So adorable. Don't do that, baby, you make me needy." Then Jungkook slowly picked Taehyung in bridal style. He then looked at Jimin and said, "Bye, Jimin. Take care," Jungkook said, but then Jimin prevented him and slid something in Jungkook's pants pocket. Jungkook confused about what Jimin did. Jimin looked at him and said, "What? I am just taking protective step. Last night when he kissed you, that almost make out session. This time he drank so much I don't know what he will do, so just for precaution, Jimin grinned, and now Jungkook understood what is the thing in his pocket. He shook his head in disbelief and left the club. Jungkook placed Taehyung on the passenger seat. He saw Taehyung is already passed out due to drink. Then Jungkook settled in driving seat and drove to their home. When Jungkook and Taehyung reached their home, Mrs. Kim opened the door. Mrs. Kim saw Taehyung in Jungkook's home. "What happened to him?" Mrs. Kim asked worriedly. "He is just drunk, uncle," Jungkook said, like he is assuring Mrs. Kim, "and his son is okay. Let me help you," Mrs. Kim said. "Come forward to help Jungkook," but suddenly Taehyung opened his eyes when he heard Mrs. Kim's voice. He held Jungkook tightly and said, "No, don't come near to me, Mom," he said, hiding his face. And Jungkook said, "What the Mrs. Kim is going to speak, but Taehyung once again spoke. "You always nag me every time. Don't ask me what I want. Every time I only have to listen to you, Mom. I love you, but this time I can't do what you want," Taehyung said in drunk voice with sadness filled very low tone. But Mrs. Kim is very near to him, clearly heard what his baby is saying. Mrs. Kim felt like his heart broken by his baby's word. He never thought about it until Taehyung pointed out it. He never thought he is forcing his baby in some of his security and safety. Mrs. Kim knows he is overprotective about his baby, for that he has his own reasons, but in the process of protecting Taehyung, he is controlling his baby's life. He never thought how his every decision is hurting him. Mrs. Kim started to ask lot of questions to himself. He hurt his baby so much. Jungkook looked at Mrs. Kim and uncle. From the look of uncle now, he know how much thanks word hurts him, but he can't do anything. It's the thing between mom and son. So Jungkook sighed and said, "Baby, uncle just wanted to help you." He said calmly to Taehyung, "No, I don't need his help. In the name of help, he will make me do those things which I don't want to do. Leave me, Hyung. You are also with him, I know," Taehyung said, and started to move from Jungkook's arm. Jungkook saw Taehyung is going to fall, so he held Taehyung tightly. Okay, let's just sleep now," he said, and looked at his uncle. Mrs. Kim nodded to him, but Taehyung is still struggling in his hold. Taehyung yelled with half-closed eyes, open eyes, hearing Taehyung's voice. Mr. Kim, Mr. Jeon, Mrs. Jeon also came there. Mr. Kim saw his baby struggling in Jungkook's arm and asked, "What's going on here?" When Taehyung heard his Appa's voice, he said, "Appa, Jungkook is not leaving me," he said in it with pout like he is at age of crying. Jungkook don't know what to do. He should laugh at his baby's behavior, or he should be scared due to Mr. Kim uncle. So Jungkook only had one option. He looked at Mrs. Kim like, "Help me." Mr. Kim looked at Jungkook with a look of care to explain, but instead of Jungkook, Mrs. Kim said, "Your son is drunk." Mrs. Kim saw his son is still. Jungkook leave him in calm tone. Jungkook left Taehyung. Taehyung directly went to his appa and hugged him like Kola. Mr. Kim hugged his baby back. "What happened to my Tete?" he asked softly. "Tete is not in good mood, appa," Taehyung said softly, leaning on his appa's shoulder. Mr. Kim feeling guilty because he is thinking that his baby is in this condition because of him. Why Tete's mood is not good? Mr. Kim asked while making Taehyung to sit on his sofa. Jungkook and others looked at father and son. "Do you sit on the sofa?" They also said, "Went beside there. Sit there." "Dad, I think mom don't believe me," Taehyung said, and Mrs. Kim frowned. Mr. Kim saw his wife in pain due to his son's word, but he also wanted to know what is going on in his son's little mind, so he avoided Mrs. Kim's gaze and asked him, "Why do you think like that, Tete?" "Because I think he want me to marry with him so soon as possible. Like I will run away from here," Taehyung said without knowing what he is saying. In the control of alcohol, but everyone knows usually truth came out when people drunk. "No, Tete, he believes you. He just want to see you happy." Mr. Kim patted his son's head. "You know, Dad, yesterday I was so happy when Jung proposed me. I thought I will also enjoy my life like you and Mama enjoyed in college days. I have no other friends. Before Hyung came in my life, I don't even know how to express my emotions, but Hyung made me realize I also have emotions and feelings like others. I am no more cold and expressionless." Taehyung, "Appa, Taehyung said and become quiet. Hearing all this, Jungkook felt proud of himself. Then Mr. Kim again asked, "Then why don't you want to get engaged with your Hyung?" "Because I want to make a lot of beautiful memories of our love life with Hyung. I don't enjoy my life like other. At least now I want to live like teenager," Appa, Taehyung said, and Mr. Kim understand. Mr. Kim also knows that Taehyung really not enjoy his life when he was teenager. Mr. Kim stroked Taehyung's hair and said, "Okay, do what you want. Now don't think about engagement." Jungkook felt his heart going to out from happiness when he heard Taehyung is calling him my Hyung. He kept his hand on his chest and calmed himself from over happiness. "Really, Appa, but what about Mama? He will get angry. You don't see how angry he is in the morning, Taehyung said like a kid, which made all people in home laugh at Mrs. Kim. Mr. Kim also knows that Taehyung is saying truth. Mrs. Kim behaved like a tiger when he is angry. Mr. Kim also looked at his wife and Mrs. Kim glared at him. Okay, already late. You can go to sleep. If he sits like that, Taehyung will continue to speak and it will cause head ache to Mr. Kim because he is the one who becoming sandwiched between son and his wives. But Taehyung shook his head. No, I don't want to go with him. Hyung always listen to mom, Taehyung said while sucking. Jungkook and Mrs. Kim looked at each other. They don't know, laugh or cry on their son's behavior. Jungkook, I have to listen to your mom if he want to marry you, Mr. Kim said, looking at Jungkook and Mrs. Kim to make Taehyung understand Jungkook's situation. No, Appa, Hyung have to listen to me like you always listen to mom. Hearing this, Mr. Jeon, Mrs. Kim burst in to laugh. Everyone knows Mr. Kim is whimpered for his wife. Now it's Jungkook's number to behave like Mr. Kim. Jungkook didn't want Taehyung to say any more thing which caused him embarrassment, so he came in front of Mr. Kim and left Taehyung from Mr. Kim's arms. Taehyung didn't say anything. He just snuggled into Jungkook's arms. Jungkook felt warmth inside his heart looking at his baby. Jungkook took Taehyung to his room instead of guest room. He laid Taehyung on the bed. Taehyung just quietly slept on the Jungkook's bed. Jungkook sighed because he don't wanted to listen anything now. His baby already said so many things. Jungkook also know Taehyung will not remember anything when he will wake up. Jungkook changed Taehyung's clothes. Jungkook also freshened up, changed his clothes and slid beside Taehyung looking at his baby. Next morning, got my head, Taehyung said when he woke up, keeping his hands on aching head. He is slowly trying to open his eyes. Taehyung held his head from his both hands. Then after a few seconds he remembered about yesterday when he went to bar with his Papa friends. Flashback. After going out from Jeon Mansion, Taehyung went to his shop. He worked in his shop up to 6. Taehyung didn't want to go home and argue with his mother, so he decided to spend more time in making candles. When he was making those candles, his friends entered in his studio. Hey, Taehyung, it's already time to close shop, Jimin said, and with cute smile, Hey, Taehyung, it's already time to close our shop, Jimin said, and with cute smile. Taehyung didn't look at them because he is waiting soya wax for making candles, so he just answered, focusing on waiting machine. I know, in low tone. By the answer of Taehyung, their friends knew that something is off. They also know Taehyung has no friends other than them. There is nothing happened between them which caused Taehyung mood off. Another person is Jungkook. They also know just Jungkook. So tell me what happened between you and Uncle Mrs. Kim. Taehyung stopped when whatever he was doing. He turned and with his look of shock on his face, how his silly friends knows about him and mom, how Taehyung only spell those words, not how. Tell me what happened, Jimin asked, but Taehyung didn't say anything. He went silent, looking on the floor. Taehyung, let's go to the bar. It's Jin Hyung who said this. Jimin, who heard Jin, he curses and says, Pabo Hyung, don't you know how bad he is with drinks? Jin rubbed his head and said, what, I just wanted him to forget about his worries. Drink makes easy to forget everything. Taehyung heard his friend's conversation. Then let's go to the bar. I want to forget everything, Taehyung said, and started to walk outside. That's how they finally reached the bar. And Taehyung started to drink. End of the flashback. God, Taehyung remembered everything and he immediately sat on the bed. He looked around and saw the room is different. It is not his room. Taehyung frowned and thought, Papa, what do you think you before drinking? You even don't know where you are. Oh my, am I with some other man? No, it can't be. Can't face my Hyung. My God, save me. Taehyung, you stupid mom is always right. You can't handle things carefully. Taehyung thought and hit his forehead with his both hand. After some time, Taehyung felt some familiar accent. Then he looked at himself. He is wearing pajamas which are baby blue in color. Then Taehyung thought, these clothes smell like Hyung's. Then Taehyung got up from his place and opened his room door. Then he went outside and finally released his breath. Oh, it's Hyung's house. Taehyung muttered under his breath. Then he started to go down stairs, but then he remembered he didn't brush his or freshen up. He immediately went inside the bathroom and freshened up. Went downstairs. When Taehyung reached the living room, he saw no one is home. The whole mansion is silent. The only sound is coming from kitchen. Then he went to kitchen. One of the maids saw him and asked, Sir, do you need coffee? Yeah, Taehyung said and looked around like searching for something. Maid observed his movement, so she said, Sir, everyone went to office, only ma'am is home. I think she is in garden now. Then she gave coffee to Taehyung. Taehyung took it and said thank you. Then he walked outside and saw his aunt is really in garden. She is taking care of plants there. Good morning, auntie. Taehyung said with his beautiful smile. Mrs. Yan turned and she saw Taehyung is standing behind her. Good morning, baby. How are you feeling now? She asked, remembering Taehyung is not good at tolerance. Thank you. My head is hurt, auntie, he said, rubbing his forehead with one hand. Okay then, let's get inside. You should take painkiller after breakfast, she said, and started to walk. But Taehyung called her, auntie, we still have to take care of plants. I will do that later. Maybe you can get some sleep after taking pills. It will help you to reduce your pain, Mrs. Yan said, but I also want to do this. Taehyung said, okay, we will plant them after when your headaches will be good. She said and hold Taehyung's hand, walk inside the home. On the other side, Mrs. Kim is sitting in a restaurant waiting for someone. That's when he heard footsteps. He looked above. There is saw a beautiful young woman coming towards them. Mrs. Kim stand up. Uncle, you know how much time my hairstylist took to make my hair, she said, and sit on the chair like welcome baby. Sorry, I didn't know, Mrs. Kim said and winked. You know, you are going to pay for that, uncle, she said, still with pout. Why should I? I know your account is full of dollars, Mrs. Kim said, knowing how rich this girl is sitting in front of him. Now she stopped pouting and sit properly. They ordered coffee and some other dishes, then started to speak. Uncle, why you called me here instead of Jungkook's home? Minji, baby, I wanted to talk to you personally, Mrs. Kim said while thinking about his plan. And what is that? Minji asked and questioning look. Mrs. Kim started to explain. At the end of he want positive result. Minji heard everything and her Mrs. Kim uncle said in the end she is shocked and stood from chair. You want me to act like I like Jungkook? She asked like her eyes are popping out. Yes, Mrs. Kim said calmly. You want them to feel jealous? She again asked again. Doubt? Yes. Double yes, Mrs. Kim said. Uncle, you know what you are doing? She asked. I know, I am 100% sure I will get what I want, Mrs. Kim said, waving hand to make Minji sit on the chair. Minji sit on the chair but in shock state. Uncle, you know Jungkook and get to know about this, he will definitely kill me, she said, gulping down her coffee. She knows that about Jungkook because they are friends and they both studies in same university in it, abroad. When they were studying, many girls proposed Jungkook, but he rejected everyone. One day, Minji saw Taehyung photo of Taehyung in his wallet. Then she asked him about it. Jungkook told her that he is in love with the person in the photo. Minji thought and are interrupted by Mrs. Kim. You are one of good friend of Jungkook. For this matter, I don't believe anyone other than you, Mrs. Kim said, because his son-in-law is Prince Charming and no one can resist his charms, especially for his this task Mrs. Kim, so he called her to involve in this plan. But uncle, what if it turned out different that we thought? She asked worriedly. Don't overthink, little girl. Whatever we are doing for our loved ones. I want Taehyung to realize how much he loves Jungkook, how need him in his life. I want him to feel that what he feels if Jungkook is not in his life. He is taking Jungkook's love for granted. I want my son to realize Jungkook's importance in his life. I know you are Jungkook's best friend. Please help me with this, please. Mrs. Kim said, last line almost pleading like kid for candy. Miss Minji smiled at him and said, okay, uncle, I will do, but I also want something in return. She said, I want of Officer Kai's number. Minji said, you evil girl, no respect for elders. You are dragging me in your love life, Mrs. Kim said, shaking his head. He can't believe this girl is making him love agent. Are you up or not, uncle? Minji said while sipping her coffee. Okay, I will give you, but why don't you ask Jungkook for this? Mrs. Kim questioned. Oh, that Pabo denied to give me his number, Minji said, remembering how Jungkook rejected her to giving his officer friend Kai's number because Kai said not to give his number anyone. Then uncle, when will we start our mission? Minji asked. From today, pack your clothes and shift to John Mansion, Mrs. Kim said. Yoongi said there is a document he have to check, but that's not urgent. You can read it tomorrow. Jungkook also wanted that. He wanted to leave his office as soon as possible because he wanted to see his baby, but then he thought, what if Taehyung went to his home whole day? He had meeting and with clients and employees, so he didn't get time to call his mom. Jungkook took out his phone and called his mom. His mother received after 2 rings. Hello mom. Hi baby, are you okay? I'm okay mom. I just want to ask about Taehyung. Oh, my baby is missing his baby. Mrs. Jian teases his son, turning red after mother teasing him, but he said, yeah, I'm missing him so much. By the way, how is he? He is sleeping after taking painkillers. Author's note. So, I know a lot of you are disappointed because the story is getting longer and a bit bored, but I hope in the upcoming episode it will be get interesting. So, please stay tuned and I hope you will love it.